Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another show of Indo-American Passage, green cards, visas, and how to get them. I'm your US Immigration Attorney, Dave Viswanath with the Banad Law Offices. We have offices in New York, both Manhattan and Queens, as well as India, Mumbai, India, and Bangalore, India, ladies and gentlemen. Every 3 months, I end up in the India offices and work from there. If you ever have any questions at all, you're always welcome to email me, dev@banadlaw.com. That's dave@banadlaw.com, or you can call one of our offices. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is on ITV every Saturday at 10 a.m. and India time, 8:30 p.m. on Saturdays on HW News Network. Okay, that's the largest digital news channel out of Mumbai in India. It's also on their YouTube channel. It's also on ITV's Facebook channel and YouTube channel. So there are several ways you can watch this show. Remember, ITV Gold at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or HW News Network at 8:30 p.m. That's India time. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is all about U.S. immigration and the role of politics along with immigration. In today's show, we're going to talk about, something that's not such a great topic considering that we're right around the holidays, but it's worthwhile in discussing, and oftentimes that's when the subject comes up towards the end of the year. And that's at the increase. It's not a surprise for many of us, but many people have been asking, what's happening because of Trump? What's happening because of Trump? Is my immigration status in jeopardy? Well, I will say this. Statistically speaking, in the first 9 months of 2018 fiscal year, okay, the fiscal year 2018 starts October 2017, okay, but in the first 9 months, there was an increase of 37% denial rate, okay, not 37% denials, an increase in denial rates of 37%. There were roughly 630,000 petitions in the first 3 quarters of 2018 that were denied, compared to fiscal year 2017, which was about 470,000, and 2016, it was about 430,000. Okay, so there have been significant increases in the denial rate since President Trump has been in office, this year being the highest since they started taking these recordings. Okay, we're looking at the 3 quarters, and it was roughly 164,000 denials in the first quarter, 197,000 in the second quarter, and in the past third quarter of 2018, okay, the third quarter of 2018, it was a whopping 202,000 denials. That includes H-1Bs, that includes I-140 petitions, that includes travel authorization and work authorization. Largely, we're seeing this due to the employment-based sector, which is a scary thought, considering how much that does for our economy, how many people rely on these visas, including foreign nationals and employers. To some degree, I guess we can say President Trump is making good on his word. But the interesting part about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is not law change. This is policy change, okay? And that's a big, big difference, okay? We haven't seen the laws change at all. What we have seen is a different approach to implementing and adjudicating these applications. The Department of Homeland Security, is listening to President Trump and his executive order, his whole MAGA approach, Make America Great Again approach, and his executive order about Buy American, Make American, is coming into effect, and these are the extremities of that. They're looking for fraud. They're denying for whatever reasons they can find. And they're really causing a problem for everybody, and I think this is one of the reasons why the midterm elections were so critical. And I think it's great that we saw a large change in the House, because that will hopefully get the, as I mentioned in the last show, the comprehensive immigration reform dialogue going again. And the Senate will get back on board and get together, and we'll be able to push through a comprehensive immigration package, because this is really nuts. Now, people say, well, even if the immigration law changes, President Trump is always going to look at how he can make things more difficult, right? Well, that's true. But what are we seeing right at this moment? We're seeing a ton of news out about things that are implicating President Trump, all the way from campaign finance violations to potential fraud, to potential lying under oath. his former attorney, Michael Cohen, has just declared in several interviews, and he said that he's been consistent. I mean, I haven't seen anything that shows inconsistency with it, that everything he did that broke the law was at the direction of Donald Trump, then President-elect Donald Trump, and that it had nothing to do with his, I should say, presidential candidate Donald Trump. And that President Trump knew that all of those things were illegal, including the hush money to the Playboy Playmate, and as well as the porn actress Stormy Daniels. All of these things were apparently things that were ordered by Trump for Michael Cohen to take care of. There was also discussion on the issue of the Trump Tower that was supposed to be in Moscow, and the fact that discussions were going on well into the 2016 campaign, whereas previously Michael Cohen said under oath that that was not the case, and he was directed to do so, apparently, allegedly. That's what he says. President Trump, in his own announcement, said that he has never done anything illegal before. Definitely didn't direct Michael Cohen to do anything illegal. And well, let me clarify that, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't say that he hasn't done anything illegal before. He said he had nothing to do with any of the illegal activities that Michael Cohen got into knowingly, and that he didn't direct him to do anything. He said Michael Cohen's a lawyer and he should know the law. But the reason why I bring this up, ladies and gentlemen, is because this is very, very pressing. The amount of both political and legal trouble that might be brewing, especially with the special prosecutor's office. Michael Cohen went on ABC News on an interview and said specifically that the reason why he should be believed now, because obviously if he lied before Congress, why would he not lie right now, maybe out of anger out of Trump? But he said, look, I said things that were corroborated. And the reason why I know they were corroborated is because Special Investigator Robert Mueller has said that Mr. Cohen's testimony was very helpful. And he said it was very helpful. The idea there is that he said it was very helpful because he's got other evidence from other people that suggests that what Michael Cohen is saying now is truthful. If all of this comes out, ladies and gentlemen, who knows what will happen with President Trump? I mean, they're already talking about bringing charges up against him in New York State. Letitia Harris, who's going to be the Attorney General, has already said that, I'm sorry, not Letitia Harris, Letitia James has already said that she's looking to bring charges against President Trump. They may, in fact, there are people in the House that have talked about an impeachment. So we'll see where this goes, But the reason why I bring all of this up is because now when we talk about immigration, we have to talk about two steps here. One, Congress changing the laws in a very comprehensive way. And two, potentially curbing President Trump. If his troubles are either focused elsewhere or he ends up being removed from office, maybe we'll see some changes here that are less harsh. People have said, well, Mike Pence is even more strict than Donald Trump. It may be true, but Mike Pence is a career politician. And I think that when you are a career politician, there are many times where you're able to negotiate and work with other politicians in a way that's different from Donald Trump's style of working. And so, hopefully we will see some movement on that. And I mean that both personally and from a professional point of view, because many of these denials, ladies and gentlemen, don't make sense at all. They're not fruitful for the economy. They're not fruitful for government. I don't see how they're, increasing jobs. Now, some people will say, well, look at the jobs reports. The jobs reports are showing increases, month on month. And in October, we saw a large job increase. What do you say about that? It's true that in some of the farming sectors and some of the manufacturing sectors, we have seen some increases in jobs, but I think the bigger issue is, are we seeing those increases in jobs to some of the specialty occupations that most H-1Bs hold? What's going on there? Are we seeing foreign nationals put down and then U.S. Workers put up? Are we seeing more outsourcing done? Remember, I have advocated many, many, many times that outsourcing was the way of making cyber coolies. That when H-1Bs started to drop, we started to see a much larger increase in outsourcing. It made sense. It's even cheaper than an H-1B worker, and you get to keep them in a foreign country with foreign labor laws that are not as strict as the United States, So you get all the brains, but don't have to spend as much. So, all of these things play into it, But one of the things I want to bring up with everybody is if you're in one of those situations, if you have an I-140, if you have an H-1B, if you're pending or if you're filing for, renewals, be very careful, ladies and gentlemen, and really make sure that you're talking to somebody who understands the law and who can advise you on what your options are. If you file an application, expect an RFE. And listen, I'm going to say this on behalf of all attorneys. Expect that attorneys may charge you an extra fee for these RFEs, okay? Don't be shocked. RFEs are getting thrown out left and right, even when the applications are completely thick, well comprehensive, crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and still coming up with RFEs. And that's just a lot of extra work that, that law practices don't need to handle without getting compensated for. And I only bring that up because these numbers have increased so drastically that, I've heard people saying they're going to close their law practice because of the number of RFEs they're getting when their practice was all employment-based immigration. And they're not small RFEs saying, oh, please give us, your bank statements. They're saying, please show us how this individual is a qualifying specialty occupation. Please show us how this individual's degree rises to the level of, the U.S. equivalent of a bachelor. And many of these people are people who have been here for 8 years, 9 years on H-1B. They even have permanent resident applications that have been approved, and they're just waiting for visa numbers to become available. It's a slippery slope, and it's a dangerous subject. So, luckily, I would say that we've been lucky to see RFEs, but nothing worse after that. But that's not always the case. And I know a lot of people that have not had so much luck with that, So we really have to be very careful and remember. And then think about what your options are. Do I send the employee out for a period of time? Do I keep him in the United States and then figure out what other visas might be available? Do I stop the entire process? Do I stop immigration because we're not going to go anywhere? If I get a denial, what do? Do I file a motion to reopen? Or do I file a brand new petition? Which may be the case, there are definitely times when it's like, filing a motion to reopen on this same level case is going to take 2 years. But if we file a new petition, under premium processing, we might be able to get this case done in another 15 or 20 days, And in that petition, let's answer all the reasons for the denial, It is more money, it's an added expense, but it might get you the decision you need in a quicker amount of time. So just keep in mind, ladies, we are seeing the fruits of Donald Trump's words, To see a 37% increase in denials, to see almost 140,000 new visa denials is hardcore, across the board, it's not something that we were actually expecting until he started saying it. And then we thought maybe he was just bluffing, but we're seeing the fruits of that labor now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to be careful. We've got to be diligent. We have to know that not all hope is lost, okay? Don't think, okay, it's not worth filing. But we've got to be very careful, and we got to understand that, it's a different world than it was 15 years ago. It's a different world than it was 3 years ago, And so one of the things that I would like you all to do is keep watching the news, keep watching the show, make sure that you see where things are going. And if you don't know or if you're not sure, by all means, contact us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today's show is a little bit short because we are coming up with the holidays, and I want to make sure that all of you get to enjoy your holidays. But I do want to let you all know that that is something to be concerned with. I also, we're doing a ton of H-1Bs, renewals, I-140s. One of the things that I'm telling clients is to make sure that they're prepared that we may get an RFE. I tell them the areas that I believe we might get an RFE on. And then we roll with it, and that's something that you've all got to keep in mind as well. And don't sit on things. If you've got time to move on it, But I will say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly from a strategic point of view. If you've got enough time on your hands, think twice about just applying right away, because the time versus the climate of our government right now might be in your favor, And so if you've got 3 or 4 years left, don't be so eager to start the immigration process right now. Think about it. Maybe discuss it with an attorney. But, don't think that that's just 100% the right thing to do, because many times it's not. There may be other options. There may be a better option to wait a little bit, because the ebbs and tides of the government do change, and I think they will change here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is coming to the end of our show, but I hope you guys found today's show informative. I know it's a little brief and quicker than usual, but we will see you next time. If you have any questions at all, please do email me. My email is dev@banadlaw.com, dave@banadlaw.com. You can call our New York office at 718-361-5999. I also have a U.S. number in my India offices, ladies and gentlemen. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. I have a U.S. office in my India offices. That's 718-766-8606. So 718-766-8606. That's my U.S. number in my India offices. I also have local India offices. You can see them on the screen. And then my U.S. office in New York is 718-361-5999. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this show is always on ITV Gold and HW News Network. On ITV, it's on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and in India, it's on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. on HW News Network. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook. There are a lot of different options here. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found today's show informative, and we'll see you next time. Take care.